Hey guys, it's Daryl here. Obviously, I wasn't set up to make this video, but it's something that's been on my mind. It's been bothering me. Um, because I don't have kids, because I've been out of the education, out of school for 35 plus years, I was a little hesitant. I did a little research, but this is my point. Lately, I've noticed that us, United States citizens, are sorely lacking in we seem very self-centered and we seem very lacking in understanding other cultures and specifically in understanding other religions of the world. um I don't know if it's the same way it is now. I don't know if it's because it's separation of church and state that students aren't at least when I was in school, kids aren't taught about the seven or so basic major religions of the world. And even if you're an atheist, I think this is important because millions or billions of people worldwide are religious. What led me, some of the things I see that bother me, like was on Facebook, of course. I'll talk about Facebook shortly too. Um, it was on Facebook, and the way people in general seem to look at Saudi Arabia, we just look people over and we classify them or stereotype them. I'm guilty of that too sometimes. Um, as I said in one of my biggest videos concerning a gentleman from Florida, which I had to apologize for. But anyway, they look at people from Saudi Arabia, and I think sometimes there's almost a romanticized version, the Sheikh of Arabia and all that. And we don't. And then I saw a comment about a Sikh, a person from the Sikh religion from India. And I can't remember the exact comment. But what I know is, what I'm saying is, it doesn't seem sometimes that people understand who belongs to what religion and why that's important and why that plays a role in where we fit in and where we shouldn't even probably stick our nose in. That Saudi Arabia, they're Muslim, they're Islamic, just like the rest of the country, just like a lot of the Middle East. And the Sikh, he's actually not. They're not Muslim. They're from India, and they're part of the. They're a faction. They're not even Hindu. I think it's a faction off Hindu religion. So these gentlemen or people of the Sikh religion, they wear the turban, and people misidentify them. And I've seen this again with people talking about the dot on the forehead, and I've heard terrible, sarcastic remarks about that. And again, these are people from India, and I constantly see this misidentification of who is who, and people, they just classify, if they have a headdress and they're brown, they're an enemy, is basically what I'm saying. And it seems like we're sorely lacking in just a basic understanding of Hinduism, of Islam, Judaism, Catholicism, Christianity. I know Catholicism is part of Christianity, but a lot of people don't probably. I think this is important. And again, about culture, just about general culture, the way other countries. Somebody brought up a point about the American flag on one of my comments on how it's always portrayed in so much in movies and whatnot, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But different countries look at things different ways. If we understood different cultures more, and specifically if we understood the major religions of the world more, I think it would at least alleviate a lot of the fear which leads to hate, which leads to discrimination, which leads to war, which leads to, I think, like in war, I know one of the basic parts of war is your enemy becomes less human. an animal. When I see that word, when like Trump using that word animal, that scares me. That bothers me, because now you're taking away somebody's humanity, and it becomes so much easier to take away their life, to take away their rights when they're not a human. And the same thing happened to the Native Americans. They weren't viewed as human; they were savages. Same thing was with the African Americans, slaves. They weren't viewed as worthy of being human. They weren't human. They weren't viewed as worthy of even having any basic rights. I heard this terrible thing yesterday on PBS about a slave, and there was somebody found. They were going back in their family tree, and they found some information about how their distant relative was a slave. And it was recorded how this one slave, this great 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 grandfather, great 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 grandfather of theirs, it was recorded that he was given a blanket. Given a blanket. Like, that was a major thing to be recorded. That these slaves, these people they didn't even view as human, was granted the comfort of a blanket. I mean, that's stunning to me. It's it's shocking. And the thing is here is, again, I believe in it, though if we don't learn from history, we're condemned to repeat it. And I think that's what scares a lot of the people today. And a lot of Trump supporters look at people like me, channels like this, channels similar to this, Democrats, liberals, as being upset about losing the 2016 election. And that is wrong. That's wrong. It is, reality is what it is today. Today is today. There's no changing that. And I accept that. And I think everybody else that's similar to me accepts that too. But we were fearful of where Trump being president would lead. And it appears with good reason. Take, for instance, his jokes about how he should have an extra term, or, his supporters say that it's just joking around. To me, it feels like he's feeling out if he can get away with changing the Constitution, because now there's a 2-term limit. And to me, like I've said in many other videos too, I was a liar and manipulator, a drug addict for 20 years. And I remember my thought process on how I would go about getting what I needed every day, manipulating people, lying. And I remember the thought process I used in lying, for instance, telling a little bit of truth and then throwing in a lie to kind of, there's these tactics that dishonest people use, and manipulators or narcissists or egomaniacs, they use, and I see those, and they scare me with Trump. And again, my fears of, when he refers to people as animals, and the way that his base is content with overlooking all of his indiscretions. Because to me, they seem pessimistic in general about all politicians lie, but at least this one is lying for us. That scares the hell out of me. To me, again, I don't want to sound like I'm exaggerating, but to a lot of us, it seems very reminiscent of past dictators, of Hitler. And I say that with caution, because it's a harsh statement. It's a bold statement, but in a lot of people like me, it's a very real fear. Anyway, I know I've branched off subject, but I don't know if kids, the way I understood it in public schools, that you're not supposed to be taught one religion in general. That the way I understood it was okay to learn. I thought it was okay to learn all religions, learn them as a knowledge and not just one religion. Like, for instance, in parochial schools, I know they teach just one religion. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about an overview so we can understand the world better. So we're more informed I think that goes back to the video I made about America being the greatest country on earth. And sometimes I think it seems that, and judging from my comments, it seems that we're not very well versed in the rest of the world. We're very self-centered. It's all about us. And I don't think a lot of people understand other cultures or even want to understand other cultures or are afraid of other cultures or are afraid of other religions. There are a lot of people they think they're doing something wrong if they even learn anything about another religion. That their religion is the only one that matters. Everybody else is wrong. Everybody else is going to hell. And again, to me, it's a dangerous, almost fanatical way to look at things. And that's where you start dehumanizing other people. That they're wrong, they're evil, they're animals, and it just continues from there. I really believe that teaching our kids, like I said, I was hesitant to make this video because I don't have kids. I don't have kids I don't even have nephews or nieces. So I was a little hesitant to make this video. But I had to because there's something that bothers me that I think it would benefit America in general if we all learned a little more about different cultures. This is one thing too, where I hear Trump supporters talk about how they're scared. They don't like other people speaking non-English around them, like Spanish, because they're afraid that they're talking about them. Again, it's a fear that they're being singled out. When I swear to God, when I hear somebody speaking a language I don't understand, like Spanish or German, this just happened recently too, I forgot, in IGA near here. The way I respond is I try to understand it. It interests me, it mesmerizes me. I want to learn how to speak it. I want to know. I find it amazing when I see somebody fluently speaking another language. That always amazed me. And I know, I fluently speak English, so therefore I can and should be able to learn German or Spanish or Chinese. And when I hear somebody else speak this language between two other people, I want to understand it. It's a curiosity, and that's a good thing. Again, you have fear that stops learning and leads to nothing good. Fear of other religions, fear of people speaking other languages, fear of people of different colors. Yeah. So that's my point for today, that I think it would do America well. That's one more point too, is I notice as of late, everybody's centered on Iran and other things, war and impeachment. And we tend to lose track of what we need here in this country. A lot of people would argue, well, the jobs, unemployment's down, so that's great. But there's more to it than that. And being an artist, especially, I was especially bothered how Trump started taking away from public radio and the arts. That, any kind of financial help or backing from the government for the arts, for National Public Radio and all that. It scares me. I think curiosity and learning there's no bad side to it, So that's my video for now. I know I rambled around a lot. I hope I made sense. It was a spur of the moment. As you can tell, I was in the middle of my workout, but it's something I wanted to say. And I'm willing to bet other people have similar thoughts. All right, you guys have a great Monday.